There was once a poor widow who had 2 daughters, Snow White and Rose Red. In her little garden grew 2 rose trees, one with white roses and the other with red. The 2 sisters played in the forest in summer, and on winter evenings they would listen to their mother's tales as she sat at her spinning wheel. One snowy evening there was a loud rapping at the door. "Hurry," called their mother. "It must be a traveler who is lost." But when Rose Red opened the door, she screamed as she saw a huge great brown bear panting loudly. "Please do not be afraid," growled the bear. "I'm half frozen and I merely want to warm up." Immediately the kind mother ushered the bear in and let him lie by the fire. At first, the sisters were wary of the huge creature, but by the end of the evening they were playing happily with him. For the rest of winter, the bear came every evening, and the sisters loved to spend time with him. When spring came, they were very sad when the bear told them, "The dwarfs will be back soon, so I must go deep into the forest to stop them from taking my treasure." And he thanked the mother and sisters for their kindness. As the days grew warmer and longer, and the red and white roses bloomed once more, the sisters spent their time playing in the forest. On one hot afternoon, they stumbled across a very cross-looking dwarf. One end of his long white beard was trapped under a heavy log, and he was waving his arms frantically. "Well, do something to help," he snapped. The sisters rushed to his side, but couldn't shift the log, so Snow White took her scissors and cut off the end of his beard. The dwarf was not pleased. Snatching up a bag of gold that he had dropped, he pushed past, shouting, "Bad luck to you both." Later, when the girls were playing by the stream, they were startled by something jumping in the air. They thought it was a grasshopper, but it was the old dwarf. He was caught in a fishing line, and his beard was entangled in the thin wire. So once again, Snow White and Rose Red tried to help, and this time it was Rose Red who snipped his beard to free him. And once again, the bad-tempered dwarf grumbled. He snatched a sack of pearls that was hidden in the reeds and ran off. Later that afternoon, the mother sent the 2 sisters to the town to buy needles and thread, and laces and ribbons. Crossing the heath, they noticed a large bird hovering in the air. As it sank lower and lower, they heard a piercing cry. To their horror, the sisters saw that the eagle had seized the old dwarf. Taking a pity, the 2 girls grabbed hold of the little man tightly. As they pulled him from the claws of the eagle, the ungrateful dwarf complained, "You've torn my coat, you clumsy creatures." Then he quickly grabbed a sack of precious stones and ran off towards the woods as fast as his little legs would take him. By this time, the girls were used to his ingratitude and continued on their way into town. As they crossed the heath again on their way home, Snow White and Rose Red spotted the old dwarf sitting cross-legged in the meadow. He was counting all his treasure. Seeing the exquisite stones glisten in the sun, the sisters couldn't help but gasp at their beauty. "How dare you sneak up on me?" shouted the dwarf angrily. At that moment, there was a loud growling, and lumbering across the meadow, with eyes glowing, came the great brown bear. The frightened dwarf jumped up, screaming, "Take these 2 wicked girls. They would be tastier than me." but the huge bear swiped the cowardly dwarf with his paw. With one blow, the dwarf was motionless. The girls started to run, but then they heard a familiar growl. "Snow White and Rose Red, it's me, don't be afraid." And as he spoke, the bear skin fell off, and there, before the startled sisters, stood a handsome prince in gold robes. The happy prince returned to his castle and invited Snow White and Rose Red to visit him. The two sisters met the prince's younger brother, and all four soon became close friends. Some time later, Snow White married the prince, and Rose Red married his brother. The girl's mother came to live with them in the castle, where she had her own little garden. She planted 2 rose trees, and every year they produced beautiful roses, white and red. The end.